Hey, it's Clayton, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the 3 different stages of relationship that I have found myself in over my lifetime, and an invitation to you to step into the latter stage that I'll talk about in this video. We could call it the 3rd stage of relating. Now, perhaps you can relate to this. I know that when I was younger, there was a way as I was getting into relationship and really learning about how to dance with somebody on an intimate level, I had a lot of my attention over there, trying to figure out what it is that they wanted. What is it that they need? What is it that I can do to make them happy? Now, there is something special about being connected to your partner and being able to understand their needs and being able to be in this kind of sacrificial place for the relationship. We could say that there's a gift in it. Absolutely. There's a way in which it can draw empathy and compassion. The shadow side is that we tend to lose ourselves when we are operating at this stage. We tend to not track what it is that we need, and we often end up feeling depleted and exhausted, or like we start to shapeshift into what it is that they want so that we don't lose them, abandoning ourselves in the process. Now, once you get really hurt doing that, you might then graduate to the 2nd stage and make a decision, right? I will never dishonor myself in relationship, right? I will always be connected to what I want. It's time for me to really be connected to what I need while I'm in relationship. And so the pendulum swings back the other direction, and you start to operate with this fierce independence, this way of perhaps asking the question, okay, well, what is it that I need? What do I want right now, right? Who do I want to become in this relationship? These are all powerful questions, right? To be connected to your needs, your desires, your wants is a crucial step in relationship, because if you're not connected to that, then you tend to move into that earlier stage, which is one of self-abandonment. So asking the question, what do I want? What do I need? Who do I want to become in this, right? If they leave, I'm going to be okay. It's all right. I'm going to really honor myself. Now, if we get stuck there, there's a shadow side to it. And the shadow side is we start to operate a little bit too independently in the relationship, where we lose a certain edge of being relational. And maybe we even have a fear that, God, if I was to be more relational and start to go over there and track what they want, I might end up slipping back into a version of myself that was really painful. I'm not going to do that again. And so a lot of people I talk to sometimes get stuck in that independent stage where they don't know how to open up because secretly they're afraid that if they did, they'd be walked all over, or they wouldn't be able to influence or guide the relationship from a place of power. And so their strategy is to stay in the relationship, but be in this really independent, non-relational way where they're not really putting anything at stake. But the downside is that when you don't put anything at stake in the relationship and you're trying to avoid risk, the relationship will ultimately end, because risk and being at risk and being vulnerable and in some ways allowing a relationship to live in your life in a way where if it did end, it might destroy the current version of you, right? That's to live at the edge of your leading potential in relationship. And it takes a lot of courage to do that. And it takes a lot of healing to be able to get to that place, and a lot of faith in yourself and faith in life and faith in people. Now, all of this sets the stage for the 3rd stage of relating, which is one where we're no longer just worried about what they need, and you're not concerned about necessarily what you need, but you start to ask the question, you start to live under the question in relationship, what does the relationship want? Right? Independent of me, independent of them, this thing that we've come together and created, what does this want? There's a concept called the intersubjective third, and it's this idea that when 2 people come together, they give birth to a figurative or metaphorical entity called the relationship, which is this intersubjective third. And this thing lives and breathes off of the thoughts that you have about each other, as well as the ways you communicate to each other and listen to each other. And when we start to orient to that relationship, and we start to really feed that, there's a way in which we start to actually transcend our small self. We start to transcend the version of us that is playing small or trying to protect ourselves, or the part of us that is trying to people please. And we almost start to orient towards a vision of something larger, a vision that begins to compel us. And so the core question there is, what does the relationship want? What does the relationship require of me in order for this to continue? In what ways am I not listening to the relationship, right? It could be that in some ways when we have a decision, rather than asking what is it that they want and then giving it to them so we feel like we're compromising ourselves, or we ask ourselves, well, what do I want in this difficult decision, this crossroads that maybe we're at? That can be an important question, but then maybe we end up disconnecting them from them and not being relational. if we ask, well, what does the relationship require? There's a way in which then we, in some way, circumvent compromise, and we start to adjust towards the fact that there's a larger vision at play in the relationship that's bigger than both of us, that is inviting us into this maybe crucible of transformation, right? And maybe on a smaller level, it's just allowing us to say, hey, there is something really big here that we are creating, and let's protect that. Let's maybe give something up of myself that has actually been in the way. And so when we move into this third stage of relating, again, we start to transcend this more small, limited self. And what I believe that does is it opens up the possibility to show up in a way that we just could not show up if we were single. To show up in an exalted way where we are aligned towards a cause in our relationship. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What stage do you feel like you're operating in? Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3? Sometimes we can operate in all stages, but which one feels like your default right now? And also, if you'd like to take this concept deeper, I've created a free guide called 3 Keys to Being Relationship Ready. It's a PDF that you can actually download. I'd love to give it to you, and it will illuminate more about the different personas that come on during these 3 stages that can lock us into place and have us not grow the relationship and evolve it deeper. Go ahead and click on the link in the description below, and you'll get access to that.